Welcome to the Wave Maker Community Podcast, where we share exciting stories about what God is doing on the front lines of missions. Our prayer is that you're inspired and your faith is ignited through this, and we hope that you enjoy this episode. We're here today with Silje Nordahl from Norway. I hope I pronounced that right. You can correct me then afterwards. She is from Norway, and she's the COO of the Hauge Business Network, and she'll share about that. We'll dive into that in a minute. You and we met at the BAM Global Summit in May, virtually. And after that, this is the first time for me to know and learn about the concept of business as mission. And for me, it was eye-opening. So I thought I'll just have to interview someone to bring this insight and like this huge world that is going on that I didn't know existed to kind of our community here. So why not just dive in very quickly, and you could tell us about yourself, how you kind of grew up, how you ended up as the COO of the Hauge Business Network. Go as deep as you want and as you're comfortable with.
Hey, thank you. Thank you so much for inviting me. It's an honor to be here. My name is Silje Nordahl, and actually Silta as well. That's my husband's name. So
Oh,
I
okay.
got that when I got married. And yeah, I have three small kids, married to Runar, and I work in Hauge Business Network, but also 20% of my position is in Hauge Microfinance in Burundi in East Africa. So that's very exciting working nationally and locally in Norway, and also being a part of a bigger community. So meeting you also at the BAM conference, it was a joy. And I think that's so amazing with technology that we can meet people from the whole world. We can learn from each other. We can pray together. We can work
Yes.
together. Yes, like 40 minutes, 45 minutes a day, and I can spend time with a guy from Switzerland. So
Yeah.
thank you.
I just have a coffee break, and now we're in Norway.
Yes. Yeah, we actually use this term digital coffee sometimes. Like we take a
Oh,
digital coffee. So that's
we
what we're
should make
doing,
that a
right?
thing here too. I like it. That's good.
Yeah. Mm.
So that's good. So I just learned, I didn't know that the Hauge Business Network and the microfinance, it's two separate things, but they're somehow connected. So tell us about this. How does it work?
Yeah, so our network started with actually one of the leaders and founders, Arne Selta, my father-in-law,
Oh,
took a DTS at YWAM Kona. And when he was there, he felt like DTS is like a discipleship training school. He did it with his family to kind of take a 5 month off his job and spend time with the family and also follow God. And
wow.
then when he was there, yeah,
What
he
what
was
year
there.
was that?
It was in 2000. So
Wow.
it's yeah, 25 years ago, this
Yeah.
all began. And when he was there, he felt a calling to go to the poor. And he said, "I thought you were a good God sending us to Hawaii, and now you're sending us to the poor." You say that sometimes, kind of funny, but also, yeah, felt that God was really changing his heart and what he valued.
Yeah.
And then at the same time, he had this feeling like, I'm a banker. Maybe if I was a teacher or a doctor, I could go and do something. But as a banker, I don't really think you can use me, God, was kind of his response. But then after being on outreach 2 months in Thailand, he said, okay, if you can use me, I will be here.
Wow.
And that's, yeah, so that's powerful. And sometimes when God calling us, it can be a challenge. Like we can feel like we're not good enough or we don't know what to do. But then just trusting in Him, that's where
Yeah.
it all begins
So he
in
was
a
a
way.
banker, right? He was in
Hmm.
finance, and I kind of get it why he might have been thinking like, how can you use my profession? Banking seems to be more towards something else, right? So that's quite interesting. So then, what did he do? Did he go to Thailand and start building a bank, or?
Yeah, so at the beginning, he didn't know what to do. So he started helping out with some projects in Thailand. He started taking teams from the church to Thailand, young people. They supported an orphanage. They were kind of trying to figure out how to support and do something. And then when microfinance got the Peace Prize in 2007-8, um, it kind of clicked like, oh, you can actually use banking as a peace tool. So it kind of
Mm.
made him understand his profession in a new way. And then they were praying and wondering like, how can we use this? They were traveling to different countries to see how people are doing microfinance already, because this was
Wow.
something new to them, a very different scale than what they were used to in the bank in Norway.
Yeah.
And then the president in Burundi, he became a Christian,
So,
and they were asking like, what do you need? Like, how can we serve you? And they said like, we need more jobs and we need like banking systems, something like that. And then they decided to go down and help out. And this ended up in
wow.
founding the Hauge Microfinance. Yeah.
I didn't know that there was the concept of microfinance sort of won a peace prize. So someone sort of came up with this concept to help a poor local community out of poverty, right? Was that the original idea?
Yeah. So this was Muhammad Yunus in Bangladesh, I think, if I remember correct. Yeah.
Wow.
So that, yeah, very interesting. And then they started going to Burundi. So they were invited to do like a seminar about microfinance best practice, but they haven't really done the practice yet. But that's how it started. So sometimes it can be a little backwards when God leads.
Yeah.
But then they got connected to many people. They kept traveling back and forth. They prayed, and they were introduced to people, and then they were able to start the Hauge Microfinance. And in
Wow.
2014, they got the banking license. It was five people from Norway founding this. And it's very
Wow.
interesting because when they were going to found this company, Hauge Microfinance, they didn't know what to call it. Like many ideas, like different kind of names, and they
Yeah.
all like different names, and they didn't know what to do. And then they said, "Okay, we're all Christians. We believe in God. We should pray." So they said, "Okay, God, He can answer quickly as well. So we take now 1 minute in prayer, and we see if we get something." And they did. And then after a minute, they started saying, "Hauge, Hauge, Hauge, Hauge." And that probably doesn't mean something to you yet, but Hauge is the last name of a man called Hans Nilsen Hauge.
I read
And he
this
was,
story.
yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah. Do you want me to share something? Maybe I guess maybe not all your listeners are very familiar with Hans Nilsen Hauge from Norway. I
Yeah.
would be surprised.
Let me give it a shot and then you correct me because you probably know it better. So I read it in one of Lauren Cunningham's book, the book to Transforms Nations. So he shares different stories of how different nations became the way they are today. So we know Norway as a wealthy nation, and you would assume that's the oil that you have offshore, but that's not really the truth. It's for sure part of it, but there is a guy called Hans Hauge. How do you? And he experienced revival and then started to preach the gospel and also share it with other communities because at that time I think there was a monarchy and it was sort of forbidden to kind of preach the gospel and go to other communities. And he started to do that, and alongside that started the revolution of business, and that kind of lifted the whole country, the whole nation of Norway out of poverty because before that it was kind of poor, right? That's how I remember the story. Is that how you would say too?
Yeah. Yeah. Very good. I'm impressed. Good job.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what happened when he started traveling around in the country to preach the gospel? He saw a lot of need, a lot of people without jobs, a lot of alcoholism, like social needs. And he said, okay, we can't only preach the gospel. We need to do something. We need to help people. And that made him also start many businesses. So he
Yeah.
started himself like 30 businesses himself. And he probably contributed to 150 businesses in
Wow.
Norway. So did a huge impact on the country, loving God, sharing the gospel, and building businesses. But he did many more things as well. He wrote many books. At that time in Norway, it was only allowed for a priest to preach. So he got
Mm.
issues because of that, preaching when he was not a priest. And also, many people didn't read. So he became
Yeah.
an author, writing many books about God, about the Bible, about how you should live. And these books were distributed in the whole country, a lot of letters as well. Um, so he really contributed in writing books and letters in Norwegian.
Wow.
And then he also, many of his followers, the Haugians, also became active in contributing in society in many ways. So it was not only him, it was a whole movement coming from this. Also, when we got the constitution in Norway in 1814, many Haugians was present and
Yeah.
affecting how the constitution was created.
It's
So
amazing how you can
yeah,
kind of link that back to one man's revival and obedience to just do the thing. And I love that he was so practical. He's like, many people can't read, so let's teach them.
yeah,
Let's write
yes,
books. Let's give lessons, right? It's very practical. And I think that's what I love about the concept of business as mission. Um, I think what I've learned from let's call it more traditional missions movements, it's preaching, it's maybe helping out with your bare hands, it's growing a discipleship movement or teaching the Bible, maybe translating the Bible. But then this whole thing as business as mission comes into place where you could see that it could actually lift people out of poverty, actually a whole nation out of poverty, to one of the strongest in Europe today. So I just love that. And let me give you a quick quote that I have from the BAM Summit. So, oh, it's actually two. And one is, it goes like this: every single social and global issue of our day is a business opportunity in disguise. So that's from a guy called Peter Drucker. Drucker, I don't know how you pronounce that. He's passed already, but considered kind of the inventor of modern management. So a huge figure in just the business world. And then there is the pastor from the States that says the next wave of business will be, I believe, carried forward on the wings. No, I'm sorry. The next wave of missions will be, I believe, carried forward on the wings of business. So that's JD Greer. He's a pastor in the States, also on the board of directors for Chick-fil-A. What a surprise. Um, Very interesting how those two collide, right? And I think that's the center and the heart of the business as mission. So do you have anything to say about that? Do you have a mindset or a heart? Is that really, would you describe that as your life's calling, maybe even?
yeah. I think in many ways it's something I'm working in. But I think I also want to add, because when they got this name, Hans Nilsen Hauge, some of them were like, what? Using a name 200 years ago, is it still relevant?
Yeah.
But what we see is the power of role models. And that happened
Oh,
so the
good.
people founding this, it was five people. It was Arne Silta, Arne Bjørndal, he was in the same bank as him, Thomas Hagganes, he was working in Bergen Engines. And it was Steinar Opheim. He worked with something called Tent. I don't know if you know, but it's like about faith and work
Ah,
mindset.
yeah.
And Øyvind Berge, also working with different things. Very prophetic guy.
Wow.
So that's very interesting. And this whole mindset of, no, God created us and he created the earth. That's what we believe.
Yeah.
And he also created us to steward the earth. And business is like what we call like at the heart of the city. So if you want a good and thriving city, the business sector needs to work. Like
Yeah.
people need to have jobs, we need to have incomes, we have to kind of steward the city well. So kind of just work, living in this mindset, and I'm learning all the time. Uh, and that's so everything for us, it started with a microfinance. I have
Yeah.
my background in development studies and
Mm.
um, and
Wow.
community work is my master thesis. I wrote about the project in Cape Town, in Kajelica, in the township there. Very
Wow.
interesting to see how things can grow in challenging conditions.
Yeah.
Um, so I became a part of this work in 2018 because I wanted to contribute. They asked me to become a part of the board. And at that time, I didn't have a business background. So I didn't
Mm.
know like, okay, if I should, I had some economy studies as a part of development studies. But then after a few years following this work, I really saw that to, you know, this mindset of microfinance is about actually believing in the people. Like you are something, you're created with abilities. How
Yeah.
can you use it to create a good life and a good society for yourself and others around you? So
Yeah.
it's very like when I studied development studies, we study aid and how aid is sometimes good and sometimes very not effective. It can
Yeah.
even hurt the country or hurt people because you create uh, dependence and you
Yeah.
don't really give people abilities and you trust people that they can do something, create something. That could
That
be some of the bad side effects.
exactly. And that's a really good cue because I have this question actually too. There's a book that everyone tells me I should read. I haven't. It's called When Helping Hurts. Apparently it's a good read. So, but I get the concept, right? So, for example, here in Switzerland, we have lots of places where we could donate old clothes and then they get shipped to another place. And in my mindset, it makes sense for disaster relief, right? So if you have war and anything, then just right, give people the basic needs. But it makes sense that if you contribute this to a place where there might be potentially a local economy, now clothes are free. So if you're a local business owner, you're out of business. No one buys your clothes, right? Because they're free, they're just coming. And so that's a really, really good cue. So apparently then the business model of microfinance tackles this a little differently, right?
Yes. So that's very important and so good that you say. So the microfinance part is very interesting, but they first started giving out small loans so people could start a business. But then giving a
Mm,
loan to somebody poor, if they're not able to pay back, it would actually
mm,
take them further down. So you need to have a good model.
wow.
And the first time that they tried to give out loans, like nobody paid back. And that's like it was
Bad for a
qualified
bank.
people. They had a business plan. They were born again Christians. So they had some like things that you had to do, but they didn't give the loan back. So it was kind of something about the concept and money management that didn't click.
Mm,
So then they decided that, okay, actually need training. You could call it like discipleship training, but also like money management training. How do you steward your money well? So that's kind of when everything started functioning well in Burundi was when we started using a training. It was developed in South Africa, ACAT training, but then we took it to Burundi and kind of adapted it to Burundian conditions. And it's just giving a lot of training, help them to trust in themselves, know that they are something, and also like basic skills and money management. So
wow.
after doing the training, people started paying back.
Hmm.
And compared to other microfinances, we have way more training than they do. So in
Yeah.
a way, it's more expensive because you need to do the training. But then people give the money back. So that makes it function very well.
Yeah. It
So
has a
yeah,
lasting impact. Its longevity is
yes.
ensured. Wow. So
Yeah,
what
so it
kind of
was
training is it? Is it like a vocational training? So you're teaching people how to be a car mechanic, and then also, as if I hear correctly, some discipleship part too. So teaching people about Christian values and all that. Is it like a discipleship? Could you do a DTS, but but with also like a car mechanic track or
so actually I haven't done the training myself, but everything now is run in Burundi by Burundians. And how they do the training is that they have people in groups, and that's also how we do the loans. Like we have people together in groups, they know each other. They take up a group loan that they use to develop their businesses,
Oh,
and
that's
then they
so
pay
good.
back, and then they have the training in the groups as well. So we have now more than 100 staff in Burundi doing the microfinance. We are present in different provinces. So they do the training. Also, we have a Burundian CEO, Primitive Umugiranesa, and she is very good. Like leader,
Wow.
to have good leaders is key.
Yeah.
Um, so she's a very good leader. She has a good staff with her, and they're doing the training. So I think that's also
Wow.
very important. So we don't have any people from Norway employed in the microfinance in Burundi, and we never have. It's
Wow.
always been Burundian workers, but we are a part of the board, and that's how we steward and help. And a lot of developing, like everything in the beginning, was done by Arna and the team.
Wow.
Uh, but then we always use the Burundian. workers. And I think that's so important as well because they know the context, they know the people. But it's yeah, what do you say? Like it can be challenged with corruption in many countries. So this is also a
Yeah.
challenge we can face working in different ways, but we've always found good solutions
Yeah.
to be able because we're against corruption, also
Hmm.
working in countries where corruption is an issue.
Yeah.
You need God. That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying.
Yeah. I get that.
Like we've had so many miracles happening when we prayed for situations, things I can't share here, but things that has been like Old Testament stories
Wow.
about how God has been guiding us through those issues.
That's intense,
Yeah.
man. Wow. So,
Mm.
uh, okay, you can't share everything. That makes total sense, but maybe you have a shareable testimony of someone that's kind of transformed their life through that course and through that paid it back and learned something, and now community is maybe thriving in a way. I'm sure you have something shareable.
Yeah, yeah. So now it's we have 50,000 customers in Burundi. So I
Wow.
have 50,000 stories to share
Yeah.
about what's been happening. And it's like, it's so, like, the numbers are so big, starting from nothing, a calling. They didn't even have money in the beginning. Like, they just
Wow.
had this calling. And then just seeing how it's been growing by God's grace has been amazing. So now it's 50,000 customers, and they've contributed to around 150,000 jobs. Like now it's
Wow.
been becoming a huge impact. So even the government now have say that this is affecting the country. It's
That's
still so
amazing.
much that needs to be done, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's really affecting. I
Wow.
remember when I was there, I we were always traveling around to meet the customers and talk with people, and we have like customers meetings in the different provinces with like four to 600 people showing up uh, at the meetings when we are there. And then we also talk to many people. I talked to a woman. She didn't have a job before. She was a single mother of children. She was really struggling. But then she received this training and she received this loan and she started a brick business, creating
Wow.
bricks. And now she was able to employ 30 people in high season
Wow.
in this
That's
brick
crazy.
business.
Wow.
So she didn't only have like an income for herself, but she also was able to create income for many. And I
Yeah.
think those kind of stories makes like everything worth it.
Yeah.
And I think also something that really struck me at one of the meetings, some of the kids were having a show about how they were talking about like banking and money savings. And they were like, yeah, now I have an account in a microfinance. I save money there. Oh, you should do it too. Like they had this show for us. And
Wow.
that
It,
kind
it
of
even
just
has a
like it,
cultural impact. Wow.
yeah, and it really hit me because I think learning how to handle money from a young age is very important. And I remember my own
Definitely.
dad, like bringing me to the bank. I could save money. They were sharing and teaching me how to give. And just knowing this from a young age is very important. And also, as a Christian, it says that you can't serve two masters,
Yeah.
both Mammon and God. So that's also to know that money is never the goal. Like, money
Yeah.
is a tool that we are given to have a good life, but also to serve each other. Like
Yeah.
money, like people are not made to serve money, but money is a tool for people. And
Definitely.
just
Yeah.
knowing that from a young age as well, like money is a tool for you. You can spend it wisely. It's not about having a lot of money, but it's about how you spend it.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
love that. I think a lot of people get misconceptions about money. It's not money that is the root of all evil, but it's the love of money, right? So that's a huge
Yes.
difference there. And I love that actually then money as an exchange of value and business as a concept, it's a multiplication tool, right? So I, as an individual, with maybe my bank account, oh, I'm getting the timer, okay. With maybe my bank account and my hands, I can maybe help 10 people. And then I run out of time and I run out of money. But if I create a business and do it wise and be a good steward and work with a bit of intelligence, then I can multiply this. So I love the story of the single woman and the brick business. now multiplying to 30 people who have an employment, who can then feed their families and so on. So I just love it. That's amazing.
Yeah. And
Well,
that's yeah. Do
you
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 want me
go
to
on, you
share
share.
also about the Hauge Business and Network? Because this
Yes,
was the
please.
beginning.
I think this would be a good sort of last question because I'm getting the timer here for 9 minutes. Zoom is very like, hey, you're the free version, so you have to be. But yeah, share about your role in it. And this is also a question from my wife. I have to relay this. She's like, are you now every month in Thailand? Do you travel a lot, or is your role more from at home, or how does that whole concept, that whole thing look like?
Yeah, that's a good question. So what happened, because I also work in Hauge Business Network in Norway, is that when they started a bank in Burundi, it was not a lot of people. It was not like a big donor saying, go and do this, I have the money. It was a calling, and then the money kind of had to come.
Yeah,
And what happened is that many people started contributing. It became a network of people starting this and supporting this. Also, we had a bank in Norway supporting it. And also Burundians could deposit money in the bank. There was actually
yeah.
many Burundians contributing with depositing, and then we could loan it. But then in Norway, it started developing a network here of people that wanted to glorify Jesus in business and creativity. So it was a lot of entrepreneurs that wanted to start businesses. So it was a lot of conversations there. And then a lot of businesses joining in. We have business members, 90 businesses around in Norway are a part of the network. And we've also invested in a lot of 13 different companies now we've invested in Norway that works with different things. Also, a few
Wow,
actually DD finance like insurance and microfinance and yeah, different things though. So in
wow.
Burundi, now Arne, the founder, he's traveling there 3 times a year still. So he's been there way more than 40 times, probably one of the people being there the most.
Wow.
Um, but they run everything like in Burundi themselves. So our involvement is mostly when he's traveling down and also the board meetings. And the board meetings
Yeah,
are now also virtually. So that's so good. So
wow.
I think that's very good about also sustainability, because what we want to do is to empower people to do to keep doing the business themselves. Because if we're supposed to go in all the time, it's not very sustainable in the long term.
Yes,
But also we're
definitely.
coming to time where maybe we also own now 20% of the microfinance. We're not owning more actually because it's laws in Burundi that permits us from owing more than
Oh, okay.
owning more than 25%. And then
Wow.
it's like another Norwegian owning 25%, and then 50% are Burundian owned, like Burundian investors.
That's amazing.
So we're also thinking about like how can we maybe in the future not be a part of it and they can only run it themselves. So we kind
Yeah.
of had that conversation now, but they said, no, you need to be here. Like
Yeah.
we need you to. So they didn't want us to leave yet. So that's
Wow.
yeah, that's
Well, this
good.
has
But
been
I think
amazing. I mean, this it's a 25-year story almost now, right? And
mhm.
it's continuing now to the second generation. So your father-in-law kind of started it just out of obedience on a DTS outreach. And then and now second generation is already in. There's 50,000 customers in that bank. And so your primary business is giving loans to start other businesses. So that gives kind of the perspective of the impact and the kind of multiplication tool of banking as a tool for business as mission. That's never thought about that. That's pretty amazing. Um, how can people get involved or know more about you and your story and maybe your business? Are you on the socials? Do you have a website that is in English?
yes, so you can find us many places. If you find haugebusiness.no, you can find us. But most of the things that we post are in Norwegian because we want
Okay.
to involve a lot of Norwegians.
Yeah.
But we have a lot of conversations with people from different countries. We have invested in some places or companies that are not only in Norway, and also we want to work with people from different places. So when Hauge Business Network was established in Norway, they also felt God was leading them to that this is not only about Norway, this is about Europe. So also
Wow.
seeing like how can we work together in Europe? How can we stand together, pray together, do business together? Yeah, follow Jesus, create good values, build good societies together. So Norway is a very small country. So we're very open. Like if you want to contact us, you can send me an email, Silje, haugebusiness.no. And you can find us everywhere. Hauge Microfinance. You can also find, and that's in English, I think.
Otherwise, people have to learn
Yeah.
Norwegian. That's
Yes. I really recommend it if you want to speak to the 5 million Norwegian
yeah,
people.
yeah. That's fantastic. So I'll link everything that
Mm.
you've shared in the newsletter and also in the description of the video. So I think that's a good time to wrap it up for now. I have a feeling that this hasn't been the last time that we had a chat in one way or another. Would love to come up close and see it with my own eyes. We'll see about that. But Silje, thank you very, very much for your time. I know you're in a very, very busy season. Just before we started the recording, she shared it's a very busy season right now. So you're making time even for that interview. So I'm very, very grateful. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me, and welcome to Norway, and welcome to Stay in Touch.
Thank you for listening to our podcast. We hope that this episode was both inspiring and educational for you. If you have any further questions, contact us on our socials, and we're looking forward to seeing you in the next episode. God bless.